Hey everyone, I'm Ashleigh Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. If you have been following the story of Laken Snelling, that young University of Kentucky cheerleader who is in a world of hurt after her roommates discovered a dead baby, hers, wrapped up in her closet, we've got a lot to update you on tonight. If you have never heard of this case, I have a previous episode in the episode description, and that should get you all caught up. But Laken was just in court again. And let me tell you, she looked nothing like she did the first time she appeared before the judge. This time, she wisely decided to lose the red cocktail dress and the heavy makeup and instead opt for a more conservative look, almost as though she is in mourning, all dressed in black. The court's appearance itself was actually super, super quick, and I'll explain why in just a moment. And I'll also explain the significance of what she and her attorneys are doing in this legal game of chess. But first, some new court documents recently released. Wow, do they ever tell a story? And I'm not sure that it's good for Laken. There's a new bombshell revelation that the baby boy died after he was born, which presents a legal problem for Laken's defense attorneys. But also, there are accounts of Laken hitting a drive-thru at the McDonald's right after giving birth, instead of heading to the police station to let them know that there was a dead baby in her closet. And to be honest, I don't know if it was a drive-thru or the mobile order, but it was McDonald's. I can see two sides of this story. I can see someone who just gave birth and they're starving, because I was, both times. And she's alone in a house where you're not about to go down and start cooking. But it's not going to, sound good to a jury if it goes to a jury that she's off, getting McDonald's after giving birth and the baby's in the closet. So this is the very latest in the Laken Snelling case. Police say 21-year-old Snelling, a stunt team cheerleader at the University of Kentucky, secretly gave birth inside her off-campus home in her room and then wrapped her baby in a towel and shoved him into a trash bag and hid him away in her closet, all as roommates were there, home, sleeping. This all happened in the middle of the night. No roommates heard any crying, babies crying, Laken screaming in pain because she's giving birth. It's just all very odd. She was back in court as prosecutors laid out some new and chilling details about what really happened inside that bedroom. And I'm going to get to them in just a minute. But first, a little background on the case. It was August 27th when police got called to an off-campus home near the University of Kentucky in Lexington. The words from dispatch were, "A dead baby in the closet, cold to the touch." When the officers arrived, they found a black trash bag in Laken's bedroom closet. Inside were used cleaning supplies, bloody rags, and the body of a newborn infant. According to the police, Laken admitted that she had given birth alone, cleaned everything up, and placed everything, the supplies, the rags, the blood, the baby, all into that trash bag. Laken was arrested, and she was charged with abuse of a corpse, as well as tampering with evidence, and concealing the birth of an infant. But notice, that's where the charges end. There is no murder. There is no neglect of a child. Those can all still be added, and it is entirely possible they will be, but so far, still nothing. And her bond was set at $100,000, and after posting it, she was released to house arrest at her parents' home in Jefferson City, Tennessee. But here's the question hanging over this entire case. Was the baby born alive, or was the baby stillborn, born dead? We don't really know, but I don't know. I think we're starting to get the picture. The coroner doesn't necessarily know either on the medical examiner's report. The Fayetteville County coroner, Gary Ginn, confirmed that the baby was a boy, but said that the exact cause of his death could not be determined. Not yet, anyway. By the way, even without an exact cause of death, investigators could still determine whether the baby was born alive and whether the baby took his first breaths. And that alone would rule out any defense that he was stillborn. What we do know is that the newly released court documents pull back the curtain on Laken Snelling's first interviews with the police. And what she told them is pretty jaw-dropping. Seems to confirm that her baby was born alive as well. And that's really, really strong evidence. What the mother actually says, right? That's really strong evidence. Laken, according to these police documents, claimed that she was awake for about half an hour after giving birth and then passed out right on top of the baby. She says when she came to, she saw the infant turning blue and purple, and believing the baby had died, she admitted, according to the police, that she wrapped him, quote, like a burrito because it gave her comfort. And it gave her comfort to lie with that baby on the floor for some time. Yet in those same documents, Laken also admitted that the baby showed, quote, a little fetal movement and even a faint whimper when he was born. Hold it. It's really big. Babies come out of the birth canal filled with liquid. They have never taken a breath, right? They've been living through the umbilical cord. And they've been living in amniotic fluid. And so when a baby is born, they have to take their first breath or they can't make a sound. And so if a baby makes a sound, baby was born alive, baby aspirated. Still doesn't mean that Laken took a live baby boy and murdered that baby. It still doesn't mean that. It just reduces the possibilities for Laken to say the baby was born dead. I didn't know what to do. So now we have the story of her falling asleep on the baby 30 minutes after the birth and waking up and realizing she'd fallen asleep on the baby. That also happens. Don't think it's so far-fetched. First of all, after you have a baby, you are absolutely exhausted. It's like running 3 marathons. All you want to do is sleep. And you're usually pretty damn hungry, like really hungry and thirsty as well. And so it is not weird if Laken passed out on this baby, it is plausible. You may not think it's plausible, but it is. So instead of calling 911 or seeking medical assistance, she had a shower. Her alarm went off at 7:30 in the morning, which it does with her normal routine to go to class. She cleaned herself up. She cleaned up the mess in the room because childbirth is like a murder scene. It is really messy, so that's a lot of cleaning. And then she got in her car and she headed off to McDonald's. And I think she used a mobile app to order McDonald's. And she sat in her car and probably ate whatever she ordered at McDonald's. Because again, after birth, famished. And then after the McDonald's, she did something really unusual. She was supposed to go to class, but instead she stopped by the campus health clinic, which would be normal, but for the fact that she never went inside. She just didn't enter the building. She just made a different decision and decided to go home. She later told her roommates that she had fainted from not eating. And it was those same roommates who eventually checked her closet and found the baby. Now, I don't know why they were checking her closet. What would propel roommates to come into her room? And if she isn't there, let me look at her closet. That they did. I do want to read this full section to you, though, and I want you to brace yourself for this because this is right from the affidavit. Miss Snelling stated that around 4 a.m. she gave birth to a baby which fell into the floor of her bedroom. Miss Snelling stated that she didn't think the baby was breathing or was alive. Miss Snelling advised that she was awake for around 30 minutes after giving birth before falling on top of the baby. Miss Snelling said that when she woke up from passing out, she quickly got up and observed the baby turning blue and purple. Laken said that she believed the baby to be dead and wrapped the baby up, quote, like a burrito, and laid next to the baby on the floor because it gave her a little comfort in the moment. Miss Snelling said that she was awakened by her alarm at 7:30 a.m. for class at 9:30. Miss Snelling said that she noticed that she was still bloody and needed to get a shower. Miss Snelling said that she went to the kitchen to get a black trash bag. Miss Snelling said that she placed the baby, which was still wrapped up inside the towel, inside of the black trash bag and placed the black trash bag in the closet. Miss Snelling said that she went and took a shower to clean up. Miss Snelling said after taking the shower, she came back into her room and started to clean up the rest of the blood. Miss Snelling said that she used paper towels, and the towel that she'd wrapped the baby in to clean up the rest of the blood. Miss Snelling said she placed the placenta inside of a Ziploc bag and placed it inside the black trash bag. Miss Snelling said she wrapped the baby back up with the towel that she had cleaned the rest of the blood up with. Miss Snelling stated that she then placed the black trash bag back into the closet and shut the door. Miss Snelling stated that she left her residence after this and went to school. Laken stated that she did not go into class, but sat in her vehicle in the parking lot. Miss Snelling stated that she wasn't feeling well, so she ordered McDonald's through the McDonald's app. Miss Snelling said that after getting McDonald's, she went to the University of Kentucky Student Clinic, where she also did not go inside. After this, Miss Snelling stated she returned home, where she was detained and transported to headquarters for questioning. It should be noted that when speaking to medical staff at the University of Kentucky Labor and Delivery Department, she stated that the baby had a little bit of fetal movement, but passed out shortly after. Ms. Snelling stated during her questioning by myself and Detective Martinez that the only time she passed out was around 30 minutes after giving birth, which leads me to believe that the baby could have been moving. Ms. Snelling also told medical staff that the baby made a, quote, whimper, and that she, quote, guessed the baby was alive, end quote. Search warrants of Laken's cell phone revealed deleted pregnancy searches, including pregnancy hashtags for different weeks, pregnant on Facebook, labor photos, and other evidence investigators say point to a concealed pregnancy. It goes on to say that there were photos of Laken, quote, during labor, photos of her doing things ordinary pregnant women would not be doing, end quote. And I think those are photos of her cheerleading because she's on the stunt team. And so she's like, you know, she's up there on the pyramid, and most pregnant women, they don't get on the pyramid, right? And then get this, quote, the photos that were taken while she was in labor were deleted in an attempt to hide the birth, end quote. And if you think that's bad, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Detectives interviewed all of Laken Snelling's roommates. One of them, Aaron Hamilton, told police that everyone in the house used a Snapchat group chat called The Trap at Park. The affidavit goes on to say that in the early morning hours of August 27th, around 4 a.m., one of the roommates messaged the group that she heard loud noises, like something had fallen. Another roommate said that she heard it too, and that the impact was so strong it actually knocked a picture off her wall. One roommate said the noises went on for about an hour. At 8:48 that morning, Laken texted the group saying those noises were caused by her fainting. She told her roommates that she hadn't been feeling well, hadn't eaten, and had passed out. She added that she was going to see a doctor, but her roommates weren't convinced. Curious about what really happened, they went into Laken's room, and what they found was astounding. A blood-soaked towel on the floor and a plastic bag containing evidence of childbirth. When they opened her closet, they found the body of a newborn baby, a boy, placed in bags. The affidavit notes that the baby appeared to be full term. Aaron Hamilton, the roommate, also told investigators that all of the roommates suspected Laken might have been pregnant, but she never admitted it. I cannot get over the complete transformation of this girl. I mean, Laken Snelling is an entirely different person 7 months from January to July. Just look at the before and after pictures, right? The picture of her in the white sports shirt and the black shorts. It's a profile shot with her nice long hair and the ponytail. That is the size of Laken in January, okay, of 2025. And then put that next to the picture of Laken at a summer fair in July. This is July. And you can see it's not as good a profile shot, but it's good as you're going to get. You can 100% see how much this girl has changed. Now, I think if you're looking as a comparative, it would be real hard for a roommate to say, I didn't know she was pregnant. She looks pretty pregnant to me. However, girls are different and they're very judgmental. And She may very well have told them that she's just putting on weight because she's depressed or has a food addiction or something, because you can put on that much weight in 6 or 7 months. You absolutely can. As far as who the father of the baby is, Laken's ex-boyfriend, college quarterback Isaiah Hall, has given DNA to the police to determine if he's the father. Laken has withdrawn from the University of Kentucky, where she was once a cheerleader on the stunt team. On September 26th, Laken Snelling appeared in Fayette County District Court. She didn't face testimony or evidence that day, but she did face the cameras, sort of. It almost appeared like she was trying to block the camera's view, clinging to her attorney, almost using him as a shield as she stood before the judge. She quietly waived her right to a preliminary hearing, which means that her case now goes straight to a grand jury. And the grand jury is going to decide whether to keep the charges as they are or to add even more serious ones like murder. As I mentioned at the top, this case has exploded online. Everybody is talking about it. So I wanted to bring in someone who's been tracking the reaction and getting insights from people who know Laken in real time. Digital journalist Abby Escobar has the very popular TikTok account called Abby Blabby True Crime and News, and I spoke with her earlier today. But before I play the interview for you, Atlas and I want to thank you very much for supporting this podcast. He's probably completely unaware that I'm doing this right now because most of the time, this is what he's like. He just, hello. Little cough here and there. Most of the time he just sleeps. Relaxes. Right now he's just a little perky, but we're just really happy that you're with us on this. We couldn't do this podcast without you. And so I also want to extend my same thanks to the sponsors because I can't do this without them either. And Chapter is one of my sponsors. And let me tell you a little something important. If you're a senior or if you have a senior in your entire family, listen to this. Sometimes things that are perfectly legal seem incredibly unfair and feel like they should be a crime. And there's few better examples of that than Medicare. Medicare is so confusing. There are thousands of different plan options, and seniors are usually getting their families to help them, and that group together relies on brokers to help them, and they're just trying to find the best plan for their individual seniors' needs, right? But unfortunately, most Medicare brokers push the plans that pay them the highest commissions, not what's actually best for the seniors that they're claiming to serve. And the crazy part is it's all totally legal. Brokers are not required to put the interests of their clients first or to present every available option. That's why you've got to find a broker who actually works for you and not for the insurance companies. And that's why it's a great idea to reach out to our partners at Chapter. Chapter's help is totally free. They can review your options in under 20 minutes, and the average senior saves over $1,000 a year. Yeah. If you are already on the best possible plan, Chapter's going to tell you that. If you're not on the best plan, they're going to help you switch. If the best plan for your needs isn't one that's going to pay them, they're still going to recommend it. There is no pressure, just honest advice and assistance from people who know Medicare inside and out. So what do you have to lose? Go to askchapter.org/Banfield, or you can call the number 346-659-0369 right now, and you'll be glad you did. Again, that's askchapter.org/Banfield. Okay, here's my conversation with Abby Escobar from the TikTok account, Abby Blabby. Tell me your thoughts based on where we stand now in this case, especially after this second court appearance and these affidavits that have come out.
Yeah, so, a lot of the information that came out in the affidavits, I had already been told by people who claim to be close to the case. And, I believed it to be true, but of course, I didn't have it in that documentation. But now that these affidavits have come out and have put it there, in writing, I'm just like, oh my gosh, and a lot of people have defended Laken, saying that she probably didn't even know she was pregnant. She probably just freaked out and didn't even know what she was doing. But clearly that wasn't the case.
I was surprised to hear that there were deletions made. Like there were deletions of searches and deletions of videos that apparently she'd taken while she was in labor.
Yeah. Yeah. When I heard that, my jaw about hit the floor. First off, why was she taking pictures when she was in labor? I mean, I have 3 kids. The last thing on my mind is to take pictures of what's going on down there because it's obviously not pretty.
I'm trying to think about it, and I'm thinking she's all alone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's unsure of what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
She certainly does not have a doctor's view.
Right.
And maybe she was using her camera to try to track what was happening. I'm trying to give the
Yeah.
benefit of the doubt to a 20-year-old kid. I still call 20-year-olds kids,
Right, right, right.
I have a 20-year-old. He's a kid.
Yeah.
But I want to give the benefit of the doubt because I think, was she in over her head and just trying to put her head in the sand thinking, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be fine. Just, it'll all be fine. It'll all work itself out.
Right, right.
You know?
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because one of my true crime content creator friends said the same thing. She said, I wonder if she was maybe using it kind of as a mirror to kind of look and see what's going on so she knew, what
What
was
to expect.
happening. Yeah, what was happening
Yeah.
down there. And then maybe after he was born, she was like, okay, well, I don't need these anymore. I mean, it's so hard to say, really.
And also, you don't want those pictures. And I mean, you never want those pictures.
No.
Think about what kids do today. And even I do it too. When I don't know what the back of my hair looks like, I take a picture. And, I just watched
Absolutely.
Black Rabbit, and one of the characters is getting a tattoo on his back. And his daughter said, he said, surprise me. And, so he used his phone to take the picture to see what the tattoo was. So
Yeah.
it's just become part of our life that phone records things that you can't see. And I wondered if that might be what she had done.
Yeah, very possible. I actually did that last week. I put my hair in a messy bun and I couldn't see it, so I kind of did one of these things. I mean, we definitely do that. I wonder why she didn't call 911 or even holler for a roommate. Like she did all of this alone by her choosing to do it alone.
I'll tell you what, I've been around, and this is probably, if I had to go back all 37 plus years of my journalism career, this is probably like the 6th, maybe 7th, maybe 8th story just like this of,
I won't feature
girl
beans,
or
though.
young woman. Yeah, girl or young woman who goes through an entire pregnancy.
Yep.
Nobody knows. Parents don't know. They're living at home. She's able to conceal it. Teachers don't know. Friends don't know. And they go into labor by themselves or with a boyfriend. And then either the child dies, they abandon it, or there's a killing.
Yeah.
And I am very mild mannered when it comes to being judgmental about this because first of all, half the population has no effing idea because this will never happen to them. And second of all, it's a panic, it's a terror, it's an unknown. And I don't really believe that these girls who either dispose of the baby because they just can't deal or smother the baby, I don't think they're coming from a place of the typical murderer who's got mens rea and wants evil to happen. These are usually young people who are so freaked out they don't know what to do, and they do the wrong thing.
Yeah, I can tell you it's hard for me to have empathy for these people because like Laken, I believe she's going to be 22 in December. So she's almost 22 years old. I was actually 19 when I got pregnant with my daughter and I was in college.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
And so I
This
kind of
is
went through
super
this.
insightful.
Yes, I was 19. I was in college, and I was actually there on a scholarship. I sang. I was there on a vocal scholarship that I auditioned for, and I got. And anyway, I got pregnant, and I was kind of like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a baby." It just changes your whole plans. But I left college, and I had
You
my.
did.
Yeah, and I had my baby, and then a few years later, I went back and finished, So it's hard for me to have empathy for people in this situation, especially like Laken's age, almost 22, because I've been there and it's like there's always an option.
I wonder if you had a different upbringing. I wonder if you had the kind of upbringing that gave you grounding and
I
understanding, and
did. I
and you
did.
didn't fear the judgment, fear the terror. I have
Yeah.
no idea what her upbringing is. I don't know. I just wonder if she was one of those people who was so formed by convention, or
Mhm.
formed by peer pressure, or formed by parents' judgment. I don't know. I'm usually pretty easy on these younger folks because they come in all different shapes and sizes, and their developmental speed is still, they're not all at par with one another. That's for
Yeah.
sure. And I see what you're saying about, we're 19, she's 22, but
Mhm.
I've known some 14-year-olds who could run circles
Oh, yeah.
around college grads.
Oh, yeah, for sure. The thing with Laken is I think that she had this upbringing where like she was kind of always in the spotlight and the center of attention and almost like she was expected to be perfect. She
Yeah.
was a cheerleader, had a lot of friends, she did the pageant thing. And I don't know if you saw her mom's Facebook, but she has a post on there that said, my beautiful, perfect daughter, Laken. And, like, yeah, as parents, we think highly of
Yeah.
our kids, but like, I have a 20-year-old daughter. She'll be 21 in 2 weeks, but I would never be like, oh, Alyssa, you're just so perfect, or this is my perfect daughter.
No, because even if you think that, you're making the bar unreachable
Yeah.
for her,
Yeah. So part of me does wonder if she just felt like there was so much expectation. And
Well,
like
maybe.
maybe if she said, hey, mom, look, I'm pregnant, or hey, to whoever, I'm pregnant, maybe she felt like her walls would close in or something. I mean, I don't know. It's
Well,
hard
I
to
think
know.
any young person in college, and I'm sure you can attest to that, feels like their walls close in when they hear, "Oh, guess what? You're
Yeah.
pregnant." I mean, it's like it's
Oh,
like
yeah.
Mike Tyson, right? I always love this expression. Mike Tyson says, "Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face."
Yeah. Yeah. And finding out you're pregnant is definitely a good punch.
Talk to me about the reports about the baby being full term. Like, describe what you've read, what you've heard, what you've know, what people have reported to you about this.
Yeah. So I've gotten messages from people stating that the baby measured 36 weeks and weighed just under 6 pounds. Um,
Mm.
one of the people who told me that was related to the father or the alleged father. I believe they had like a funeral or some sort of service for him.
The father's family did?
Yeah. I
Wow,
was told that
that's unusual.
yeah,
So someone's copping to it. Someone's admitting it's me. I'm the dad.
yeah, I guess there was like a DNA test, and after it
Mm.
came back showing that he fathered the baby, the body of the baby was released to him so they could do a service. Yeah. And,
Wow,
and I've actually
that's
been,
so. I did not expect
Mhm.
that. Usually, the
Yeah.
guys, especially college boys, are head for the hills.
Yeah.
It isn't mine, you
Yeah,
know.
not mine. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I've actually been told about that service by a few different people.
Huh.
And they've told me things about Laken's parents' demeanor there.
What was it?
Well, they said that Laken's mother allegedly was just very cold, emotionless, and referred to the baby as it, but that
Mm.
Laken's father seemed visibly upset and like really saddened by it. So they were
Really?
just very opposite.
Again, not the expected reaction. You
Hmm.
would expect the mother to be more emotional than perhaps the father.
Yeah,
Don't ask why, but it's just typically the way.
right.
And did Lakin go?
I was told that she did for like a minute and that she
Mm.
left. Of course, I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I was told by a few different people.
Yeah, that could also be a very uncomfortable situation, right? You're not just
Hmm.
attending the funeral of your dead child. You are also the person charged. And
Right,
you probably feel as though you have a scarlet letter, and the
right.
vibe there would be very unwelcoming. I would imagine. I'm trying to think of all the things, that would
Yeah.
get into her head. It's really hard. I mean, I've never been in that predicament, and so
Yeah.
there, but the grace of God go I, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and there was like a description, I think, of the baby at
Hmm.
one point. Someone had a
Yeah.
description. What was it?
They said the baby had a full head of dark hair. And then they
Mm.
said that he even had like little sideburns. You know how babies sometimes get the little
A lot of
sideburns?
facial. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. They said he even had little sideburns.
You also learned that Lakin did not have an easy delivery. I mean, it wasn't as though, well, that's done. Off I go to
Right.
life. Talk to me about what you've heard.
So she had the baby around 4 o'clock in the morning. And then, according to her, she dropped the baby. I don't know, dropped the baby on the bed, dropped the baby on the floor, but somewhere she dropped the baby. And then she claims that she passed out and landed directly on top of the baby. Like out of everywhere that she could have landed, she landed on top of the baby. And then she apparently came to and noticed he was bluish and purplish. And so she wrapped him up like a burrito. I guess that's what it says in the affidavit. And then laid down beside him for a little while. It says because it gave her some comfort. That's what she allegedly told the police. I guess one of the roommates sent a message. They have some group chat on Snapchat and asked what that loud thud was, and she didn't respond for a while. And another roommate said that they heard these loud noises for like an hour. So if she passed out, then that wouldn't corroborate with what the roommate said.
Well, unless the loud noises were crying, muffled crying. But why wouldn't these roommates hear a baby cry? Especially if Laken said in the affidavit that there was some sound coming from the baby.
That he allegedly whimpered and had movement. Yeah, it's very odd. But she apparently then woke up to her 7:30 alarm, which is her alarm to go to class. She got up, cleaned everything up, took a shower.
By the way, that is not a small cleanup.
No.
That's like a murder scene.
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, yeah, absolutely. It said that she took a shower and had to scrub all the blood off of her and everything. And then she went to the kitchen and got a trash bag and then put everything, like the cleaning stuff, the bloody towels, the baby. She put the placenta in a Ziploc bag and then just shoved it all in the closet.
was she in a house or a dorm?
She was in a house.
So nobody saw any of this. Nobody heard any of this.
No, apparently they just heard like the loud like thud and then they heard noises. I don't know what those noises were. It wasn't specified, but some sort of noises for about an hour afterwards.
I think
personally think it was her like cleaning everything up like as fast as she could.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe you're right. But if I were a defense attorney, I might seize on that and say, if you think this baby was viable and alive, where was the crying that all these roommates didn't hear, yet heard a 6-pound little baby dropping on the floor? I mean, you think about drop 2 water bottles, or a couple of water bottles on the floor. It's and a little baby, they're so slippery and soft. I mean, they're not going to make a lot of noise to wake up the whole house if they drop on the floor. So as awful as that image is, but a baby crying, that would wake up. So that could be a really good defense for her, that this baby was not crying. This baby was not viable. This baby was, slowly dying. And I didn't know. I didn't do it.
I guess she apparently told the police that they said, well, if the baby whimpered and there was movement, then the baby was likely alive. And apparently she said, like, I guess, or that the baby could be alive.
This is number one. If she said there was a sound, that means there's oxygen, because you can't make any noise coming out of the birth canal unless you've aspirated. So it doesn't necessarily mean she's guilty of murder. That a child can die minutes after birth. A child can be smothered. It can be an accidental death. It's very hard to prove that she did something to this baby, because if they don't know it now, like if she smothered this baby, they would know it now, and they don't have a charge. So there is a strange way that this baby died.
And one of the things that they do when a baby is first born is suction out the airway. If there's mucus or meconium or, amniotic fluid, they get rid of all of that stuff so the baby can breathe. So if she hadn't done that, then
the baby just died on his own, which again is not a murder, but it is a lot of other charges. I mean, it's unbelievable neglect. That's not in there either. There are all sorts of other. Did she need stitches? Did someone tell you that she needed? Because she went to the medical clinic and turned away and did not go to that medical. She didn't go for medical care until the police took her. So what happened when the police took her?
Yeah, I guess, she was brought in by the police, and at some point she asked to be checked out. And of course, they're not going to say no. So they sent her to the hospital to be evaluated. And yeah, she apparently needed to be stitched and receive a blood transfusion as well.
If you have ever had a baby out there, folks, there's a lot of blood and there's a lot of postpartum pain.
Yeah.
You try going to the bathroom once and you will never forget
Ugh.
how painful that is. And so
Awful.
I can imagine Laken not knowing any of this and not having those really awesome little diaper pants that you get when you've just had a baby, right? That collects everything.
Yes. Oh my
You don't
gosh.
have that, right? So
Mhm.
she's probably like using whatever she can
Yeah.
find, and that is
Yeah.
not working. And I could imagine her saying, I need to go to the doctor.
Yeah.
This
And
is
she
getting
wasn't getting
terrifying.
that. You know how they like massage your fundus afterwards to help your uterus recontract,
Yep.
so it gets rid of all that extra blood. She didn't have
Yep.
that. At least I think that's why they do it. But
She
yeah.
didn't have a lot of care, and I could see
Mhm.
her being in terrible pain and losing a lot of
Yeah.
blood and getting weak and needing
Absolutely.
the transfusion doesn't sound far-fetched to me at all.
Mm-mm.
So tell me a little bit about these roommates all saying they knew nothing. Because she's posting on social media stuff about
Yeah.
pregnancy and they're not following her social media.
Yeah.
Baloney. Every roommate knows every bit about the social media of their roommate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird that none of them, I think they were suspicious. Even before the day of the birth, I think they were picking up on it. At least that's what I've been told. I know there was some trip they went to Nashville, which I guess wouldn't be much of a trip for them since she lives in Tennessee, but went to Tennessee with some friends and she's wearing this dress that's very loose. I mean, and it almost looks like a maternity dress. It's a very loose, flowy dress, which if you look at other pictures of her, she tends to wear very tight, form-fitting clothes, but she started wearing all these really loose things. And I do think they started to pick up on it.
Oh, my great thanks to Abby Escobar, for joining me. Won't be the last time, that's for sure. And this is where we leave it. This is where everything stands. The picture perfect cheerleader, now accused of concealing the darkest of secrets behind her closet door. A grand jury will soon decide her fate, whether the charges she's facing now are enough or shouldn't even happen, or whether more serious charges should be loaded on and might be right over the horizon. We're going to be watching every step of the way on this story. I'm Ashleigh Banfield. And remember, the truth isn't just serious, it's drop dead serious.